So hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. So in today's video, we are going to see about the CRUD operations. So, create, insert and retrieve data, update and delete. So before getting into the video, let me tell you the IDE which you see here, this is the SSMS, SQL Server Management Studio. So this is where you execute the queries and when you connect it to the server or the databases. So if you don't have any idea what this IDE is or from where you are going to download it or to do the setup or anything, please drop in the comment box. I'll be creating a new video or I'll be explaining what SSMS is and how to configure the details so that you can make it ready for the execution of your queries. So let's dive into our current topic. So these are the set of commands, I mean the category of commands which will be used inside the SQL. The first is the definition language. So here the create, alter and drop and truncate. These kind of commands when you use in your SQL, it will change the structure of your databases. Create is used to create a table or a database. So if you execute this command, a new table or a database can be created. So by doing that, you are actually changing the structure of the database. That is where you will be using the DDL. Next comes the insert, update and delete command. So this comes under the DML category, that is data manipulation language. Here when you execute the queries with these commands, it will not change the structure of any databases, but it will change the data in the table. In new rows may be added if you are using the insert. If you are using update, the existing data in the table can be changed. So if you are using delete, the data which exists in the table can be deleted. So here you are not restructuring or creating, I mean changing the structure of the database, but and we're changing the data itself. Okay, so the third one is select, which comes under the data query language. Select is totally different from both of the above. So here in select, it neither changes the direct the structure of the databases, nor it changes the data. It's more like a read-only type. That is, when you use the select star from table or table name something, it will give you the details from the table. You cannot do any manipulation on that. Then comes the DCL, data control language. So this two are little much advanced topics. So obviously we'll be discussing it in our upcoming videos. This is where you will be dealing with this commands when you have to deal with the permissions and securities. For example, a administrator can have access to all the databases, but any user using the database need not to have any access to it. So in such cases, you can revoke the access or you can grant access to some other database. These kind of permission security related commands, I mean activities, can be carried out using this command. Then last is the transaction control language. So this is the place where you will be committing the changes into the database. Or once you commit, if you think okay, this data need not to be there or shouldn't have saved, you can undo the changes using the rollback. These are little advanced topic, so we will discuss that in the upcoming video. So here and this particular video, we will be discussing regarding the creating a table, inserting the data into the table and retrieving it using the select, then updating the data and deleting the data in the table. So now let's dive into our examples. So I'll be creating the new query by clicking on this button. You could see I have already using the sample database. So if you want to change the database, you could change here, or you could use the command use and the database name. Okay, so in this SQL, I'm not going to change because sample is my database where I'll be creating the table. Okay, now let me first create the table. So this is the first activity which we are doing under CRUD operation. So that is creating a table. Here, creating a table, first we will be writing the keyword create, then table creators, as we have discussed in the previous section, that it's where a new table is created and it changes the structure of database. So create table is a keyword, and then you will be giving the table name. So here I'll be putting the name as employee. Okay, so this is my table name. It is always recommended to close that SQL query with a semicolon. Okay, so inside this parameter we will be giving our field names. And there is a difference between the SQL and the normal program language. In normal programming language, how will you name a variable? You will be first providing the type of the variable. For example, if it is a string, I'll be giving string name equal to something. This is how you will be declaring. But in SQL, it is opposite. That is, you will be giving the variable name first, followed by the variable type. Okay, I'll be showing that here. Here, let me give the name as empno, empno, okay, of type int. Then next is of type, I'll be giving name, okay, name of varchar of max. That means it can be a maximum type. And then let me give it 20. I don't have to get more names. So ename. And you could see that there is a difference. The name is a keyword. So let's not use it. So let me use ename here. Then let me give an salary of type numeric. I mean number numeric. Sorry, numeric. Okay. So this is the type. Here when I execute this particular commands, a new table will be created in the database. So let me expand and see. In the sample you could see there is a sample data in book. Okay, here there is no employee table is there. So once I execute this but a set of commands, a new table will be created. Okay, and there are few concepts when you create a table, like a primary key and values should not be null, etc. So all those kind of conditions we will be explaining in our upcoming video. So let me first create a table. So I'll execute the commands and it is successful. Now when I refresh the table, right click, refresh, you could see that a new table employee is created. Okay, now the table is created. To check if there is any values inside the table, we will be doing select star from table name. What is the table name? It's employee. Even SSMS shows that to us. So when I execute it, it shows the column. So here we have not inserted any data, so it will not show any data. So now, as part of our second thing, that is inserting the data, we will be inserting a data into the table. Inserting data into table. Okay. Here, insert is the keyword. Insert into, then the table name. Insert into table name values. Okay. And here inside the parenthesis you will be providing your values. So what are the values? So int is an integer type. I will be giving it 100. Okay. Then name is a varchar type. So I will be giving it as let's give John Doe. Okay. Then the let's salary be some 3000. Okay. Now when I execute this, structure of table or nothing will be get changed. The value will be inserted. One row is affected. Now when I do a select activity, select star from, sorry, uh, from table. What is the table name? Table name is employee, semicolon. So when I execute this, we could see our first data is getting inserted. So this is how in this video now we have seen creating a table, okay, inserting a table. In this select activity which you do is the reading the data from table, that is the retrieving activity. Now you could see that select star from employee. This is the query which we are using to fetch the details from the table. So select is the command which is we are associating with the query to get the details from the employee table. What does this star signifies? Star signifies is that all the columns within the table needs to be fetched. If I am removing the star and if I am keeping any values, for example, here there are employee, empno, ename and salary. So let me give it as ename. Okay. If I giving ename and when I am executing this, you could see that only the name of the employee is getting displayed. The other details are not getting displayed. So selectively, you can take a particular column which you wanted to be displayed on the query window. So this is how you can filter it out, the details which you can. which you want to see. And also you could add, for example, let me just remove the select star from employee, and you could see all the tables. And now if we have multiple datas, let me add few more. 101 and 102. So here this comes a column, and here comma, not comma. Okay, so you could see that. Now this is how you can insert multiple data into a table. So if you want to have only one data inserted, finish it with the column. If not, if you want to have multiple data inserted, please separate it with the comma and colon at last. Now let me change the name to John Doe to John Dean, now to John Dome. Okay, these are the four different names having, I mean sorry, three different names and having three different salaries, different details. Okay? Now let me execute. If I execute this, the first will get repeated. So let's not do that. So I'll be inserting these three items. So if I check this, you could see three items are getting inserted. These are the two new items. Now, if you want to take only one detail from a particular column, how will we do? In the select. If you do this, all the details will get displayed. So for that, we can attach a keyword for where. So when you use a where clause, you can selectively take a particular value from the table. For example, if I want name of an employee whose salary is greater than 3,000, so that is little complicated for now. So let's not go there. So I'll be keeping it simple. So like where m number equal to 100. So the employees whose employee number is 100 only will get fetched. All the details will not be get fetched. You could see only John Doe has been displayed because he's the guy who's having the employee number as 100. So this is how you can selectively filter out the details and can be displayed. So this is where the select commands come to the play, and which is very useful for getting the details. Now, three of the statements are over. Creating a table is done. Inserting the values into a table is done. Reading the inserted value is done. Now we will go for updating the values inside the table. Updating. Updating the value. Here, update. Update is a keyword which is used to update the details from the table. Update. Now we will be giving the table name, which is employee, and set. Set is a keyword which tells that inside an employee table, you're going to change some values. Up- Update employee, set the column name. What is the column name which we are going to change? First of all, let's decide what needs to be get changed. So for here, if you could see that e name is John Dane. So instead of John Dane, I want it to be John Dine. So let us change the name of the John Dane to John Dine. Set e name. Okay, e name equal to John Dine. In this case, if I execute this, what will be the result? Is the name going to change here? Yes, of course, it is going to change it, but all the names will get changed because here we are not filtering it out. If I'm changing the name, I'll show you. Okay, if I'm changing the name, you could see that all the names will get updated here. Okay, so let me retrieve and show you. See now all the names of the people have been changed. In this condition, to avoid this kind of bulk update, we can use the where clause. Where again, just like how we filter the data and brought it here, we can do the similar activity. That is emp number equal to 100. Now since everything is done, it doesn't make any sense to make it a dine again. So let me make it dough. I'm updating it to dough. Now you could see that the first name have been changed to John Doe. Now similarly, let me change the last one so that we could use it to the next examples. Dome. Okay. Let me explain. I mean execute this. So you could see that the value have been changed here. The values have been changed. So this is how you will be updating the table. And so when you update the table, you have to keep in mind, as I told, a, a particular clause need to be provided. If not, all the values of the entire table, I mean the columns which you have mentioned to the entire table will be changed. So it's always recommended to do a where clause if it is needed. Okay. In last case, we'll go for the deleting the value from the table. Deleting, deleting the value. To delete a value, we again have a keyword called delete. Delete table name. So what is the table name? Employee. Employee. So if I execute this, what is going to happen? Just like what I have explained here, the update table set ename and John Doe. This will update all the values of the ename to the table. Similarly, if you are executing this, the entire data inside the table will get deleted. Right. So let us check that. Three rows affected. That means three details have been changed or have been removed. See, the three details which we have is no more available in the table. So that is the reason. Again, just like as I told you before, it's always better to use a where clause to delete a table unless you want to delete all the table. Let me create it. So you have already seen the value getting deleted, but still I'll show you with a where clause. Two tables have been created. Select employee and the table is now visible. Delete employee where m number equal equals to 102. Okay, sorry. So I'll execute this. One row updated, and you could see that the 102s no more exist in the table. So this is how we will be using the CRUD operation. So we have seen the creating a table. Okay, we have seen inserting the values into it, and we have retrieving the values from the table. Then we have seen updating the values based on where clause, that is a particular value can be updated or all the tables can be updated. And similarly with the delete also, we have seen deleting all the table and also a particular row which we need to be deleted. So that's all about today's video. So here we have discussed the CRUD operations. So in upcoming videos, we'll be discussing the further items. So please subscribe, share and like the video. Thank you.